Alrighty, welcome back to another video, Masters. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know that you are the master of your reality. I am the master of my reality, and in this video, I have the honor and the privilege to have a second conversation with another master of his reality, a gentleman who is promoting self-empowerment and inspiring positive action in the space, two things that I'm all about. So I want to welcome Master Chief 117. He has many names. Mr. XR Billionaire, Coach Abe. John, welcome, brother. How you doing?
Man, I'm blessed, brother. Thank you for having me and this opportunity to speak with you and your community, the fellow masters and pioneers. I can't complain, my guy.
Beautiful, man. It's awesome to have you. Yeah, so man, we got so much to talk about. It's been crazy out there in the Matrix. I thought what better visuals to have than this Matrix rain here for this conversation today. I wanted to start off with this idea that you and me discussed a couple months ago back in May on your channel, the first podcast we did about the woman and the dragons. Goes back to Revelations, and this was an idea that that you introduced to me listening to your podcast first with Waters Above, but I guess you've been this is an idea that you've had for a while now. So if you wouldn't mind, for the viewers, could you just kind of briefly go over that again? And feel free to share your screen if you need to. But this is something that we see kind of a story developing here, and I immediately what you said in the podcast you did with Waters resonated with me, and that's why I brought it up during our first conversation. And here we are, months later, and I think there's a story developing here, kind of with this idea of a presidential change, batter change is the way you put it, possibly with the 25th Amendment involved. But yeah, could you please kind of go on this, elaborate on this a little bit for our viewers?
Absolutely. I shared my screen. I'm not sure if you're able to see it yet.
Let's see.
There we go.
There we go.
Certainly not trying to get religious, but the very first thing I want to bring up is it ties back to the fact that I believe we are witnessing revelations play out on the world stage. And Revelations 12 is titled The Woman, the Child, and the Dragon. And that's where it all comes from. It talks about the scarlet woman who rode the beast. And yet again, here we are, like you said, on the world stage. We're seeing since the debates, and prior to, a lot of my work has probably felt like, the man repeating himself, or the boy who cried wolf, and we never saw this happening, because it dates back to 2020 that I've been bringing this up, either word of mouth in life, to people at job sites, or people I speak to in my life, or my family members. I've been bringing up the fact that we would get this presidential batter change, that Joe Biden wouldn't make it to the 2024 elections. And it all had a lot to do with the Bible and being able to read these scriptures throughout my lifetime. I've had a lot of time on my hands, you could say, to read things, whether that was in prison or growing up in a church faith-based family. I've been in these texts and in these scripts and other written doctrines all across the world. And it had everything to do with this and other religious texts, or just certain books that were written that showed the overthrow of a power. And whether that was by the 25th Amendment, or an impeachment, or just simply a death. Because we know, like you brought up, the 25th Amendment is broken down into 4 sections. The first section being if the president is removed from office due to death, or he resigns, or whatever, the vice president would become president. The section 2 of that is the vacancy in office of the vice president. The president would nominate another vice president. And then you go into section 3, where the president can declare themselves unable to discharge powers and duties of the office, where they transmit the power to the vice president. And then 4 is the removal due to incapacity of the president, where the vice president would step into power. And now we're starting to see, since the debates, the Democrats start to just randomly call for the removal of Joe Biden, or can
Yep.
he be replaced? They are subliminally, predictively, preemptively programming this into the minds of the masses. How can they oust Biden? How can we do without him, or who would be the upcoming, name and everything. But again, in years, I've just been able to see this. I'm an 801's birth card, so I've been able to prepare my pioneers in video format or written format, whether that's in things like my blog, for the new queen, the rise of the new queen, aka the woman who rode the beast, the queen of Babylon, right? And that's what I've been doing in some of my blogs here recently. This is this month actually, and as well as, say, all blog reports. Um, mm, Sorry.
It really does seem like they've just completely flipped the script on Biden post the debate. The media, the mainstream media has.
Right. And this has been their guy for 4 years, and all of a sudden, like you said, they're not able to get that man to where they need him. They're ready to do that presidential batter change, I do believe. Whether that's going to be Kamala Devi Harris or Michelle Obama, that's who my dad believed in 2018 before his death would be our next president. And I couldn't really ever see where he was coming from. I was trying to find my February Super Bowl blog, because that's where I really started putting this out to the world stage. Um, the There we go, the queen, the new queen. Before the Super Bowl started, I kept blogging about the Red Queen, and this was the one I did right after the Super Bowl that talked about the Red Queen, aka the Scarlet Woman that would rise. My blog for the Super Bowl was well in advance of the Super Bowl before it started, but yet during the Super Bowl, you kept seeing this Red Queen symbolism in the commercials and everything. You kept seeing this Red Queen symbolism, and it's mostly a black woman that they were representing. Um, to me, that has always been the divine race, uh, the powerful race, not the white race that they talk about on the world stage. So I do think that President 47 will be a woman of, melanated skin color, and it would be showing things like, say, the House of Cards. When we saw that TV series, it showed the 47th president being a woman. In that series, it wasn't a melanated woman, but we will see this more than likely on the world stage happening, this nomination and election, probably due to the incapacity of this man being able to fulfill his 4-year term. And so it's just that 801's birth card, being born April 26th, being able to be prophetic and see the landscape of the world and what we're going to witness. So it's actually been something that, again, I think a lot of people have overlooked until here recently, because of the fact that I kind of been that boy who cried wolf, right? And well, yet again, here we are. Lo and behold, we have uh, decoders and crypto YouTubers, or just YouTubers in general, coming out and now finally speaking about these things, and they're getting mass prana and energy on their channels. When yet again, I don't believe that, any of them has been out here as long as I have, not trying to take credit, not trying to be the first or whatever, but doing this and showing this. Um, that's kind of where it all comes from. It's really just my ability to understand, to see what, say, the elite are presenting to us, or understanding religious scripture. We are in the dragon year. This is where the woman, the child, and the dragon will be born on the world stage.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're all that, those of us with this awareness, sometimes seems we're all that boy who cries wolf until the wolf is actually there in front of us. So,
Correct.
I salute you for sharing your truth in this matter. And, what really jumped out at me about the Kamala connection here is that it is her year, right? And it is the
Correct.
year of the dragon. And so, and this is something that is spoken about as a year where success comes easy, and so that's kind of why I'm more leaning towards, all right, if we do see that, it would make sense that it is her, because that would be like a kind of cheap way in is by the 25th Amendment. That's an easy way to become president. Now, the beast. Let's talk about the beast. The woman who rode the beast, right? I kind of see America as being this beast empire in a way. The largest
Correct.
exporters of debt. We have the Federal Reserve System, some call it the beast system,
Correct.
and so I just see a lot of significance here, and then we see this story just kind of starting to play out. So let me ask you, what would that look like to you if Kamala does get in office, does assume the presidential powers? What do you think that would look like for America, for the economy, perhaps the status of the dollar?
I see a civil unrest. I see Civil War, the movie that was just released on April 12th, the anniversary of the Civil War date. That's what I see in America, possibly because of this transition of power. Because I don't believe that they believe they can beat the orange guy, Donald Trump. So I see possibly a martial law taking place throughout this period between now and the elections, pushing back the elections. That's not what I'm calling, but I can see that happening. Again, why are they showing that to us in our frontal cortexes, in our brain, in our foresight on the world stage at such a high resolution? This movie and everything that we've just talked about, the transition of power. There's got to be a reason why they're putting it in our foresight, predictively, preemptively programming it into our minds, the minds of the masses, I call it. I believe they're trying to get us to do their dirty work for us. Even George Washington once spoke about World War III would be fought on American soil, but it would not only be outside entities, but it would be the people, instead of uniting, fighting, just like Trump said after the assassination. His words were fight, fight, fight. He's not here to unite you guys. He's here to cause more division, right versus left, left versus right, black versus white, red versus blue, all this and that before the elections, again, causing a civil unrest and a state of martial law in America, possibly pushing off the elections this year. That's what I truly see coming out of this transition of power if we were to see it. So what that would mean for the US dollar, I believe we could possibly see other currencies start to regain their dominance that the US dollar has held against them over so many years, decades even, since the 1970s and the Petrodollar Act from Richard Nixon. I see the US dollar becoming just as level a playing field as every other currency in the world, possibly beneath some of them, like it showed in that movie. If you've seen Civil War, the movie, there's a part where they stop to get gas, and this guy basically laughs at them when they mention 300 for, a half a tank and, some extra gas, things like that.
And then they take the Canadian dollar.
Yeah, and she's like 300 Canadian, you know? And he's like, oh, he perks up because
Yeah.
all 300 American dollars was about to get you was, a ham sandwich or a turkey sandwich. You take your pick.
Yeah, that is super interesting. I want to focus on the more economic aspects of this stuff that we can, I guess, I don't know. This is a very important thing to talk about, and who knows how crazy it will get in America. All I can say on that is, everyone listening, do what you are called, what you feel is right now.
Absolutely.
I'm a big believer in tangible things like gold, silver. Protect yourself, right? That's all I will say. Now I want to share my screen once again real quick, because you brought up some excellent points I would like to expand on. So we have this news. This actually happened in June, on June 9th. I was actually at the Quantum Summit in Cape Canaveral when this news got announced. The BRICS nations are saying goodbye to the U.S. petrodollar and hello to gold and other commodities. And in this image here, it says, petrodollar be warned. 3 Persian Gulf energy powers just joined BRICS. So the news was Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE have been strategically included to put an end to the petrodollar. And this is what we are witnessing on the global economic stage, guys. We are witnessing there's a lot of people that talk about like the end of the dollar, the collapse of the dollar. The dollar is not going to go away. What they mean is the collapse in the status of the US dollar as the world reserve currency. That is what is at stake here. And we are witnessing, the BRICS nations joining together to get off the dollar, because it's the US. I go back to this beast empire idea.
Correct.
There's a lot of power that comes with having your currency as a world reserve currency. And, it seems like at this latter stage of that, the U.S. has been abusing that power. And so there's a lot of countries out there that want off of this system. And, now we have technologies like XRP that will allow for a new system where each country can have their own currency, backed by gold and whatnot, and use XRP as this neutral bridge asset to facilitate trade. And so I want to kind of piece together, let's look at some data points here. All right.
Okay.
First off, we got 7 companies making up the NASDAQ. All right. And by the way, guys, I forgot to mention this a little bit. Thank you, Abe, for sharing your ideas on what you think having Kamala in office would mean. In my recent video, I just put it simply as, I think that the other powers such as the BRICS nations would see that as a moment of ultimate weakness for
Correct.
the US.
It is the fall of modern day Babylon. Again, something it speaks about in the Bible. And that's what America is. It represents, like you said, the beast system or whatever, but it is Babylon.
Yes, sir. And so, like it would seem to me almost like a green light for, if these countries, these BRICS nations, are waiting for I don't know, something. Maybe they think that the president right now has some enough power to prevent them, whatever. I think this would be seen as somewhat of a green light for them to go ahead and completely get off the dollar, if that's what their plan is. And so we see, and more than just that, but we see that there are 7 companies right now making up over 50% of the NASDAQ. And one of those companies is NVIDIA. All right. 7% of the NASDAQ is made up by NVIDIA. The NASDAQ, which has gone on a pretty substantial run since the beginning of last year, 2023, is up about almost 100%. In under 2 years, and only about 13% to go. Let me drag this down. This thing's actually having a spill here recently, but only about 14% up to this 1.618, and that can happen. Let's see, how long did it take for this little move right here? Can I measure that?
Yeah, that's been about 4 months roughly.
Yeah, about 4 months. So we have until January 20th until there's supposed to be a new president in office So we have a few months. We could see one more push up for stocks to fill that 1618 target, or not. I mean, I don't know. I'm not the best at charting. I try to look more macro fundamental stuff, but what I'm getting at here is, all right, so where are NVIDIA's chips made? Taiwan.
Yep.
All right. Taiwan. And so Taiwan produce over 60% of the world's semiconductors, like little chips, right? These are in all of our electronics, not just our phones, right? But like, manufacturing electronics, like all kinds of stuff. All right. And so the US obviously is aware of this because, well, let's see right here. US-based chip manufacturing has declined around 10% of the world total and lacks the onshore capability to make the most advanced devices. So they're outsourcing most of the chips to Taiwan. All right. Now in 2022, this thing was created, Chips and Science Act. All right. Will lower costs, create jobs, strengthen supply chains, and counter China. All right. And so this was in 2022, the Chips and Science Act will boost American semiconductor research. All right. So what I kind of see them preparing for this moment where, we see China invade Taiwan. All right. Potentially because of a moment of weakness on the U.S., giving them the green light to do so. All right. That will essentially force, for security reasons, America to turn its resources inward. Okay. And I think we'll see a lot of that if, this was to happen. Kind of a turning inward of the resources. We got our tentacles everywhere, all across the world right now, and we're sending money to ridiculous stuff. And what needs to happen is to turn that resources inward, invest in ourselves. And I think sadly we're going to have to go through a moment of weakness before that realization and action is taken. But just a few months ago, in March 20th, the U.S. Department of Commerce and Intel Corporation announced a preliminary memorandum of terms under which Intel will receive approximately $8.5 billion in direct funding under this Chips and Science Act. Okay, and so I like to look at all these little puzzle pieces. These are just data points which we can use to get a clearer vision on the bigger picture. All right, so now let's go back to the charts and let's check out NVIDIA. So NVIDIA has also been going on a massive tear. I think it's
tech sector, yeah.
Absolutely. But when we look at Intel, it's a much different story. It's a much different structure with this stock.
Yeah. AMD is another one I would look at. Not only Intel. I've got the new AMD cards in my brand new desktop that I've purchased because I believe their performance is nowadays a lot better than NVIDIA, or I'm sorry, the Intel that you used to, Intel Duo 2 core processors that you would always hear on the commercials and things. I believe AMD is starting to take that sector away from Intel.
Yeah, and I saw your setup, man. That thing is sweet. I'm glad you're enjoying that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. But so we got a different structure with Intel, and so kind of like a cup and handle, maybe an Adam and Eve type structure. I'm not really sure, but it's very different. And so I'm just looking at these data points, these articles, and then relaying that back to the charts, trying to get a more holistic vision of the larger puzzle piece, larger puzzle at hand here. And it makes sense that we would see, a moment of weakness for the US, then that creating cause to take action and turn our resources inward from companies like NVIDIA to companies like Intel. I'm not saying to buy Intel, guys. I mean, it's only like a 500% move to the 1.618. I'm
Right.
just this for the more the narrative. We're telling a story here. So I mean, what do you think about this, man? Do you think you think these are like pieces of the larger puzzle at play here?
Absolutely. Stop sharing my screen. I'll present my screen again because what you brought up about the Taiwan incident with the chips and everything, that's where they're massively produced in Taiwan. 90% of the world's chips. It really rings a bell with me because several months ago I did a video called the Taiwan Alert, and I'm not quite sure where that's located. It could just be on my Rumble. Oh, I'm under lives. But I've been warning, there we go, since 11 months ago. And prior to that, of this Taiwan alert that China was going to invade Taiwan. And what better year for that to happen than this year? The year of the Chinese culture, the dragon, the year of the dragon. Some of our special forces intelligence officers have spoken to me recently about this, saying it wouldn't happen until past January of next year. But yet again, we just saw planes and we just saw warships on the coast of Taiwan already, and them putting that news out here as well here recently. So I think you're pretty spot on with the fact that a lot of this could happen, causing a possible, shortage basically of these chips, or again turning that work back into the US because we can no longer rely on Taiwan to send us these or get us these chips at a
Exactly.
massive rate. But I thought that was all very, very interesting, to be quite frank. The way you brought that up and you put all these together.
Thank
That's
you.
the first thing that really hits my mind when you bring up this Taiwan area, talking about the tech sector and NVIDIA.
Mm-hmm.
Um, NVIDIA, on another hand, is they say it leads the markets. Uh, and that could be true. Maybe it's not. But I'm trying to find my NVIDIA chart while we speak so I can pull it up and look at it. Try and get a feel for what you're seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to
Just want
give
to
you
have it
a
looked
chance
at.
to share anything of significance that you're seeing in the charts. We are in the year of the X, right?
Correct.
It was
Absolutely.
the year 2024, X being that 24th letter. And, I think this has multiple layers of significance. You know, X in mathematics kind of represents that unknown factor, that unknown variable, solve for X.
Correct.
And so I'm just open-minded to anything happening this year. I've said many times now, I think it will involve something with XRP, with that X symbolism. And it's honestly amazed me that it's dragged out this long. I think we are in the prime time, though, and the longer we wait for, or the longer it takes for this financial and slash geopolitical transformation that so many of us see to happen, I think the faster it will happen once the dominoes begin to fall. Kind of like a spring that's coiling up, right? You have all this energy that is getting compressed and compressed, like a shaken up soda can. Eventually, that needs to be released, and
Correct.
that's just like XRP's chart. It's the same thing. It's a
Caged animal.
7 year compression pattern. Probably the largest bull flag out of any chart in history, potentially. I don't know, but and so I'd love to open the floor up to you for you to share anything that you see in the charts that you think is significant. any fibs on fibs you might like to share with us? I'd love that.
Of course. I've got one right here. Speaking of XRP, the X year, as you said at the beginning of your video, we've only known each other 4 months, but you've had the due diligence and you've taken the time to go back and look at some of the work from the beginning of my career when I was Mr. XR Billionaire only on Facebook, and then I transitioned it into YouTube, and I had that Mr. XR Billionaire YouTube, but it's basically like I am now, one strike away from being taken down. And so, I'm the #1 banned crypto YouTuber on the planet. I get hit with those strikes and those, removals of videos, and I always have because of how outly open I am when I speak.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've done decodes on this XRP, and my latest work would show, upwards of a $262 XRP getting back into a parallel trend line and parallel channel that I've drawn here, dating all the way back to 2013, the inception of XRP and Ripple cryptocurrency before it was OpenCoin, before it changed its name. So, I've been very adamant on this, but I've never been one to really believe the hype of 589 overnight or 10K overnight, etc. Do I believe that this coin will continue to retire me one day? Absolutely. Do I still DCA average into this coin? Absolutely. And is it my #1 holding? Why not? At the price ranges we've seen for so many years, like you're talking about, in a 7-year sideways trading range, never able to lose lower than 11 cents for more than a day. Okay. It's shown me nothing but a caged animal, so to say, and the ability to me, it's guaranteed money making. Whether it's a psyop or whatever that people want to believe as well, that's cool. But to me, charts speak numbers, and the charts show me ideas. And my next idea is eventually one day, obviously not tomorrow, but one day seeing upwards of a $27 at the new 1.618. I know others are talking about this $26 range right there. This is the same fib I have that others are now drawing that I've had on my chart for many years. And it's always shown me a $27 XRP tied to the numerology around Ripple and XRP, the cryptocurrency. So XRP, CRYPTO, XRP cryptocurrency. If I spell this correctly, sorry. I don't know what I did there. Okay. But yeah, it's supposed to give me that 262, but I put put 2 N's right there.
Yeah, missing an R, I think.
Yeah, right there. Thank you for that. But XRP.
An E maybe.
There we go. Whatever I was meant, 2 R's. I put 2 N's instead of 2 R's. But yeah, I'm still dealing with that new keyboard setup. Anyways, XRP cryptocurrency showing us that very powerful 262. I've also been able to do many decodes around the 62 that XRP is, currently trading at. 62 cents was the high we hit. Pushed up to 63, 64, but we could not hold them ranges. But this all being tied to me and believing that the new queen, was coming to the world stage. I believe that XRP has always been the queen of the cryptocurrency market. If Bitcoin is the king, then XRP there's got to be a queen. And I believe that the queen will soon rise, right? We've talked about that already at the beginning of this video. So it's not surprising to see the first push up to that 62 cents and basically trading right there for XRP, but eventually going to that $262 range to get back into the heart line of our parallel channel that goes back 11 years now. So anyways, Ripple is tied to that 27, and that's where I see one of the highs for this next move is being that 1618 that I've alwaways had at that $27 range, right here. So that's a 4,462% move to the upside that I do believe now that we have got past this 4.618 fib circle, it's time. It's ready.
Oh, wow. We just broke through that recently, huh?
Absolutely. And that's going back from This time period back here in 2013 to our 2.618 fib circle that we broke past right here, or hit a high of and got rejected at $3.30 ish, whatever it was. Some charts are different, but we fell back into that sideways and down trading range in the C19. And it wasn't until we transitioned past that time period of the last halving 4 years ago where we moved up again into a lower high, into the 3.618 fib circle. You see, it's always been about, again, trading time and staying in the markets, because you can never really time the markets. Yes, we use a lot of techniques on my channel and others to help, show the forecast of the markets, but it's always been time over timing the market. So time in the markets more than time in the markets. But now that we've transitioned past our last bubble, our last 4.618 fib circle, this thing, you have truly seen it rocket. And that was right here earlier this month in July, right past, the shooting of, what we saw on the world stage. We really started to see this rally along with Bitcoin and the other markets.
The 1 year anniversary of it getting legal clarity.
And I did a decode on that. Again, tying it all to Ripple XRP, the 63 that they added to 63. Ripple versus the SEC gives you 63 in numerology. But yes, that was 1 year to the day in advance of this most recent event we've seen on the world stage, what I called the Great 7-6 event. Something I was able to prepare my pioneers and followers for quite some time. Several months now, I've been seeing some kind of event around 7-6 in July. I was calling it the Great 7-6 event. But it took 6 more days before it happened. But then again, 7 plus 6 is 13. So, the Great 7-6 event happened on the 13th of the month, and it was this right here. And we know how important XRP is to the followers of Donald Trump. They're big supporters of XRP. But to me, it all falls in hand with, like you were saying, the beast system. You can use XRP to, you've already seen the government and militaries use it for chips that would be implemented in the palm or the hand of an individual. So to me, it is always and has been always the mark of the beast system. So just throwing that out there as well. But it's all pretty unique to start seeing this caged animal start to rip and roar after we start seeing things on the world like this transition and conspire in front of our eyes. But yeah, that's my latest work. Is this one right here, showing upwards of $200 XRP, $27 XRP. But it's gonna happen more than likely pretty quickly, and then be sold right back down, just like these time periods of 2013 December. We were up here, and then by June the next year, 6 months, we're all the way back down to where we started. Same thing up here. We shot up, and we never saw these prices again, just like I don't think we'll ever see these prices again of 47 cents. You and I were the only ones out here in May. We were talking about it in our first podcast. We were calling for possible 30 cent, 31 cent XRP. I know you had that 31 cent range. I had that like 36 cents to 38 cent range, and we just hit those. Some of those, not 31 got hit, but 38 cents did just get hit. And you and I, as far as I know, were the only two preparing people for the last accumulation opportunities. Before now, here we are up almost 30 cents again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope everyone, who was aware of that took action. I had my limit order set at 43 and 34. So the one at 43 hit. That might have been the last final good accumulation moment. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll find out soon.
Sure. I love, and man, that break of that last fib circle is pretty significant to me. We'll see. This might be the beginning of the moment for XRP we've all been waiting for. But I just want to say real quick, I love that you're not scared at all to go to peel back the layers.
Absolutely.
You
No.
know, on what's going on the world stage. Most people with, you know, they become aware of stuff, and they only go so far because it gets too uncomfortable. And you know, I've gotten to a place where I seek the discomfort because that's where the truth lies. And you know, so I appreciate you showing us this stuff, and your blog is filled with art, really, that is
Thank you.
exposing a lot of the you know, truth that this reality has, and its layers, guys. You got to peel back these layers.
It's like an onion.
It is.
Like
It is.
Shrek would tell Donkey in
Yeah.
the movie.
Yeah,
You know,
man.
I'm an onion. Onions have layers, Donkey.
Yeah.
You know, I just let these things tell me a story instead of just decoding and making number connections. I ask myself, what is this trying to tell me? What story is this? And that's, you know, where a lot of this comes from. And I just like to write, to be honest. You know, I don't let the machine, the matrix, or the, you know, the computer write for me. This is all my thoughts, all what the code, what the world is telling me in these blogs. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of writing in the darkness, walking with the shadows that you're witnessing on this page. In my work is, you know, I'm grinding in silence when nobody else is looking, so I'm able to present to people a little bit more than the average bear, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
And it takes a strong identity, a strong sense of self-knowing to walk into that darkness, you know, to
Absolutely.
be able to walk into that darkness and still radiate with light. And so I see that in your work, and I love that.
Thank you.
So I would like to maybe kind of, we can go a little bit longer, but I'd like to maybe finish this off with looking at some Bitcoin dominance, as well as maybe the XRP Bitcoin chart. I see some stuff going on there. You know, here we are, guys, in what is it, July 18th, and the 5.3 theory is still in play. You know, we
Still in
had
effect.
this run up here, but until, I've been telling everyone, until it breaks 83K, we're still in this 5.3 rule is still in play. So what are you seeing for Bitcoin? Do you think this is a very healthy recovery? You think we could still go a little bit lower? Think we might just range a little bit and watch the dominance fall off? Or what are you seeing there?
That's what the dominance chart has been showing me. I have this white trend line showing an upward trend of momentum, and this topping out trend line showing a rising wedge that we've been following on my channel on the daily time frame for the Bitcoin dominance for quite some time. With this kick back into an ABC wave after the last wave, we have two fifth waves in Elliott wave pattern theory that took us up here to this roughly 57. I was seeing a 59% dominance being hit, so it didn't quite go that high. But as of now, we've started falling back into this long-term parallel channel as well. I know you like to bring them up in your work. I love them in
Yeah, I
mine
love
as well.
Canada.
And if we lose this, I see us heading to around that 50 to 47, maybe lower percent dominance range, and that's where our altcoin season will take place. More than likely is around that type of dominance right here. Bitcoin losing its dominance, altcoins regaining theirs, because we know there's a lot that haven't hit an all-time high again. But I do see the possibility of Bitcoin. Let me go back to my last fibs on fibs I had pulled up right here for the Bitcoin chart. I do see the possibility for Bitcoin to come back down into this range of the 4.236 fib circle. Okay. Now that we're getting rejection from the 0.5 and what I call our institutional high of 2021 back in April, that $64,000 range. Until we really break that time period and this 0.1 fib that goes all the way back to right here of April 2021, that's where I can see us possibly losing more in price action. Coming back to the 200 simple to retest that at 59K, closing the CME gap down here that we have below us, and retesting this 4.236 fib circle before maybe blasting past Only time will tell. It's obviously about to show us, but it's truly feeling. Back in May, we were right here. After the first getting the sell off, we did, I think, the May the 5th was our podcast together. So right around this time period, and it was feeling like a bull trap. But I was bringing up two patterns for you and your community and followers, and it was the waterfall pattern and the falling knife pattern. And then we pushed up into another higher low, lower high, I mean, and then we had this waterfall, this falling knife pattern. As of now, we were able to get past this most recent high, and this has been the wick to watch. And what are we doing now? We're actually back testing that. So it is technically very bullish.
It does
as
look
long as we can
bullish.
hold 62K. We lose 62K, that's where I'm going to look to close the CME gap to retest that fib circle range before moving up again, or capitulating over more, because it's feeling a lot like that bull trap again, to be in technical terms. So we're going to have to watch for possibly another world stage event around, President Biden, or in August is what I'm thinking, around Barack Obama's birthday. August the 4th is the next time frame I'm paying attention to. We had the 4/8 eclipse this year, and his birthday is on 8/4. So I can see around that time period, give or take some days or so, another event conspiring with Biden, 25th Amendment or whatever. He's recently came out and said, if a medical condition emerges, I would be interested in stepping down, basically. And now he's got the Rona again. So, anyways, I'm just watching to see if they give us something that brings the markets back down, maybe to that 47K range as we head into the presidential nominee of the 47th president, to retest this previous trade-in structure. It's still, anything can happen. But it's always been 76K for me. That's what I've seen. That's what I continue to see. And I'm either going to live by the sword or I'm going to die by the sword, one of the two.
Well, yeah, I agree with all that. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to share a little bit of some stuff I'm seeing for the Bitcoin dominance. I just have a couple trend lines I'd like to point out in a video, interesting video that was recently done. So this is the Bitcoin dominance chart inverted, and you'll see in the video I've shown a second of the market sniper. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the market sniper, Francis Hunt. He's got a pretty good YouTube channel. He's a technical analyst, but there's two trend lines here. One of them, which I have drawn, and this goes back to this. You see there's like 3, 4, 5 touch points on this green one. Essentially, this green one is ignoring this little wick here, and this purple one is not. So we have more room. So keep in mind, guys, this is an inverted Bitcoin dominance chart. So you can see the percentages are going up as you move down. So as this chart moves down, Bitcoin is the market share that Bitcoin is taking up, the slice of the pie is becoming larger. So that usually means Bitcoin is rising. And the alts are comparatively taking up less of the market share. So we could potentially see one more push up for Bitcoin before we get the alt season. When we do see the alt season, though, this chart, Bitcoin dominance falls. So this chart will go up whenever we see alt season. Oh. Whoops. Let me go back here. Sorry about that. So, yeah, so let me go ahead and play this little clip from Francis Hunt.
Okay.
We have called that this is a super low volatility squeezy Japanesey on the Bitcoin dominance.
Oh, you can't hear him?
No, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
You're right.
It should play in the playback for some reason. Yeah, we were having the same problem last time when you tried to play one of my videos, but it should be picking up the audio for the recording.
Okay.
In other words, remember, this is the inversion chart. I have turned this upside down. So if you're thinking bullish, and many of you have bull bias, if you're thinking bullish right now, you are actually an anti-Bitcoin, non-maximalist. And I feel exactly that. I feel Bitcoin is in peak valuation. I think it's in the equivalent of where it was during these periods in 2019-21, where it was at its strongest localized percentages. These were 76%, by the way. So remember, the scale goes down because it's inverted now. And each time it gets less so. This structure that you're overall looking at, that we have drawn for you here on this chart, is the inverted Bitcoin dominance chart. And we are making a prediction today, and it's not for tomorrow. It's not for next week. It's not for next month. This is a 2-weekly chart. One candle is an entire fortnight. This captures all the way from 2017, this pattern, to where we are today, and it's done 2 brilliant first impulses. We still need a third. So it ain't finished. It ain't finished, but it is at a localized bottom in our overall opinion, and that is likely to see it do a turning, a basing out, and a turning. And we've already...
Okay, so I'll just kind of summarize that. I'm sorry you weren't able to hear that, but
It's okay.
he was essentially saying that, you know, that he believes that Bitcoin is at a the normal Bitcoin chart is essentially at a localized, you know, high, and that the you know, kind of what I've been saying in my work, it seems like
5.3 theory.
yeah, like the buyers have become exhausted for Bitcoin.
Absolutely.
And he showed that in the Bitcoin dominance chart. And so you know, I just think that people need to be open to this idea. The idea that Bitcoin 100K plus, $1 million plus, it's really being pushed right now by the mainstream media. So, you know, I just want people to be open-minded to this stuff. And when you see stuff like the 5.3 theory, I mean, that's just that. That's why I'm such a big proponent of that, because I really do think
mathematics.
It is. It's like almost we've witnessed a glitch in the matrix where we're letting appear into the code of how this thing's going to play out. But anyways, you have any final thoughts, man? Anything you'd like to share before we wrap this up? Anything at all?
Yeah, I understand why a lot of people they're drawn to that 100K, that $1 million Bitcoin price action, because it's sexy. It's appalling and appealing to them. But at the same time, I can understand why certain few are against it as well. It's that big psychological number. It's kind of like a too good to be true type of environment. But you know, it's feeling a lot like previous cycles where, you know, nobody believed we could continue up. It's feeling a lot like a disbelief period to me in the markets right now. So I believe that anything is possible in the matrix, like how we started this movie out, or this episode out.
Yes, sir.
And you know, I do still believe that the best is yet to come for this market. Whether that's Bitcoin hitting 100K or seeing a new high of 76,000 or more, only time will tell, right? But for me, I'm going to continue to keep, like you said, an open mind as to where this market takes me. The charts, they always speak to me and they always show me what is happening. And for instance, you know, I believe personally that we're not even through yet. I truly believe this cycle has not got started. It's usually not uncommon when we get to previous all-time highs and things like that we see a little fight before continuation. So in my eyes, the continuation is just really started to happen, and we will soon, by the end of the year, be breaking our previous $70,000, $73,000 highs and setting new highs, showing a continuation in the bull market cycle. And the only reason why I'm so drawn to the 5.3 rule that you brought to my attention, that I forget who you said was the founder, Crypto Crew University, the founder of that. The reason why that is attractive to me is because, like we said, math speaks high volumes. Numbers never lie. Math never lies. You can be wrong at it, but it is always true. And as of now, since May, the last few months, almost 4 months, that mathematics has been true. But there's usually always an event in at least the cryptocurrency markets, especially Bitcoin, where it does something that we've never seen before. Just like back in 2021, when we were in a clear downtrend from May of 2021, but then we retraced into a new all-time high of 69,000 and did a double top. And that's something we had never seen. And now here we are, possibly about to do something we have never seen in the history of Bitcoin, which is break that 5.3 rule to the upside. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but if it does, it surely would not surprise me, especially as we head into elections in a leap year. I still believe we're going to take that great leap.
And I am open to the idea, right? I remain open-minded, and that's why I say it's that 83 level that is the anomaly for the 5.3 rule. And if we do end up breaking 83,000, I will change my. I know I talk my shit on Bitcoin, but we just have to wait until see how this thing plays out. I want this market to evolve and to grow up. I think there's a lot of that's why I call it the fraudulent market right now. There's 2.4 million cryptocurrencies, and most of those need to go away. In my opinion, there's a lot of manipulation in this market I see, and I want this market to have a cleansing so that it can grow into what I believe that it is always meant to be, which is this blockchain Aquarian financial system.
Yes, it's funny you say that 2.4 million in the 24 year too.
Right.
That's something I brought up to my pioneers, thinking it was just outstanding and astonishingly baffling, to be honest, because in 2020 we had little over 2,200 cryptos, and the growth.
That's an exponential increase.
It's certainly unfathomable. Yes. It's a kangaroo show of the crypto space that we're watching. So I definitely believe that Lehman Brothers 2.0, that washout is coming. Not everything's going to survive. I don't see 2.4 million use cases in
Definitely.
in the world. So I do believe that there will be somewhere of upwards of easily 300 to maybe 1,300 cryptos when it's all said and done with, that will gain dominance, gain a lot of this liquidity from the flush out.
Sure, yeah, I'd say that's a reasonable number. Well, Abe, my friend, do you have any final words before we wrap this up? I think we had a pretty good conversation today.
Man, I just, only thing I want to say is I appreciate your time, your support, the community that seems to come from your channel into mine. It's been a blessing. It's humbling, and it's glad to have like-minded individuals out there that support me, that follow the work. It means the world, my guy.
The feeling's mutual, brother. You were the first individual who reached out to me about collaborating, and I'll always honor you for that. And I think the work you're doing is incredible, revealing some of the hidden code and the magic within this amazing world we live in. I try to. It's easy to get a little negative when we talk about all the crazy stuff going on. I try to remain positive and leave viewers with a hopeful and self-empowering message.
Absolutely.
What are you doing? Just real quick, what are you doing? In your daily life? What are some practices you've been doing recently to maintain that high frequency, that high vibration that is so crucial at these times? Would you mind speaking on that?
No, not at all. Because a lot of people, they do leave messages in my work. They say your energy is amazing and it's contagious. I'm simply just being myself, you know. I'm not trying to follow into someone else's groupthink or get stuck in someone else's idea of me. I certainly let my light shine, but I do that through breath work, self meditation, usually early in the mornings. Most of the time it's around 1:30 in the morning. I get up and I go outside. I, hang out under the moonlight, things like that. I stay away from screens during that time period. I've got airplane mode on, or I've cut off all notifications on my socials and ringers, etc. But it's usually through breath work. I've gotten off of meats and things like that. So I've cleaned up my diet some, but usually it's just allowing myself to flow. It's kind of like the movie Fight Club. Whenever he goes to his happy place and the penguin looks at him and he tells him, just slide. Man, I just slide through life, man. That's all I'm doing. And I guess it's really showing.
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely, man. I think that's what this universe wants us to do, is just be ourselves, man. Just let that unique code that we each have shine through us. And I see you doing that, and it's a beautiful thing to see. Just curious, what time do you wake up? I see you sometimes posting stuff at pretty early. Are you an early bird?
Yeah, usually it's that 1:30 time period. That's what my schedule the last few years has allowed. I've taken a new career opportunity recently, so my schedule's kind of wishy-washy right now, and everything. But it's usually 1:30 a.m. I start that 30 minutes hour daily motivation.
How much sleep you get?
I run 18 to 22 hour days a lot of the times. Sometimes I'm up 48 hours, 72 hours. But then again, that's been because of my previous last 3 years of a work schedule. So I run anywhere from an hour to 3 hours of sleep a night.
That's respectable, man. I'll just say that. I need my 8 hours for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, people are honoring the dark side when they do that. And I commend them for that, because that's something that I don't quite often get to do, is honor the night, honor the dark, Usually I'm having to be the master of my reality at that time, the pioneer, that Spartan that I talk about now recently.
Yeah. So. I'm a triple Leo, so I'm very coded with the sun. I just try to rise and fall with the sun. But
absolutely.
Anyway, brother, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for
I
having
really appreciate you taking the time, and I'm so glad we could share this gnosis for the world today. Thank you for everyone listening today. Remember, you are the master of your reality. Real quick, I forgot to give the disclaimer. None of this was financial advice or investment advice. No one has more incentive to protect and grow your wealth than you do, masters. So make your own financial decisions. We're just sharing our journey with the world, but you got to make your own choices. So thank you, everyone who stayed till the end. We are wishing nothing but love and abundance for each and every single one of you. Until next time, master your reality.